Hello, my name is Jeff Maeda and I'm the Community Manager here at Wheeled VR, and I'm here to show you how to set up your OneStock. We've got a lot of cool stuff to cover in this video, and there are going to be timestamps down below if you would like to jump to a specific feature. But if you're new to the Wheeled VR OneStock, I highly recommend watching this video from start to finish as we go over how to get the maximum performance out of your OneStock. First, let's take a look at the box and its contents. The OneStock is shipped in a custom-made box full of graphics and information. And if you look closely, a couple Easter eggs too. On the inside of the box, you'll find the OneStock with your VR system's controller mounts pre-installed, and a bag containing a sling, a hex wrench, and extra O-rings for the bi-hole friction mounts. Go ahead and remove the OneStock from the box, and on the back, take off the plastic packaging supports, and go ahead and discard these. The OneStock comes in its most compact form, with the rear stock and the dominant hand controller mount all pushed together towards the frame's flip latch up here. The buttstock frame is set to its shortest setting, and the front sling mount, this guy back here, is installed at the back. To set up the OneStock, loosen the wing nuts for the sling mount, the stock mount, and the rear controller mount, and remove all three from the frame and reinstall the sling mount so it's next to the frame's flip latch up here in front of the rear controller mount. Loosen up the wing nut for the front latch, and then we'll also loosen up the wing nut for the rear stock assembly. So we pull both of these off, gives you a nice little space to remove the front mounting point, as well as remove the buttstock completely. We'll just loosen up the rear dominant hand controller mount, slip that off, and after you reinstall the front sling mount, go ahead and reinstall the rear controller mount and the buttstock. And don't over tighten these wing nuts, just finger tight's fine. This is a great time to show how easy it is to swap controller mounts depending on whether you prefer to have a right hand or a left hand in the rear of the stock. We ship all OneStocks with the right hand as the rear controller mount, and they are also marked left hand and right hand in case they get mixed up. To switch the controller mounts, remove the buttstock and the rear controller mount as we did earlier, but also remove the front controller mount. As you can see, the bottom of the controller mounts are identical and can freely swap positions. So, to make this a left-hand dominant OneStock, just install the left-hand controller mount at the rear of the OneStock. And then reinstall the buttstock and the right controller mount at the front of the frame. And now you have a left-hand dominant OneStock. This process takes no tools and can be done in under 60 seconds. This is also the same process you'll use to change controller mounts to different VR systems. This is the bottom mount Quest 3 version, but this can also be swapped out for Valve Index, PSVR 2, HTC Vive controller mounts, and many more. So you can have OneStock and many VR controller system supports. There are many ways to set the length of the OneStock's frame. The frame has a flip latch that lets you adjust the length of the OneStock and features a dial that controls the amount of tension needed to move the controller mount forward and backwards. And the buttstock frame has a push button system that locks it at different lengths. For bottom mounted versions, like this Quest 3 controller mount system, you can also control the length of the OneStock by adjusting where the rear stock mount is locked onto the frame. For younger gamers or players who want a more compact VR stock, move the buttstock and the controller mount closer to the flip latch, and this will create an overall shorter maximum length. This also has the benefit of letting you operate the flip latch with your pinky for some of the fastest possible length adjustments. For most players, we recommend a balanced frame length that can still be adjusted while in-game. First, set the buttstock frame to be 3 clicks from its shortest setting. And then, set your rear controller mount to your preferred location on the frame. And then set the buttstock system so when you grab the rear controller mount, it sits right where your elbow bends. This will create a frame length that fits your body, but also has room to adjust with the buttstock's push button system for longer sniper rifles or for shorter submachine guns. For top-mounted variants, like this PSVR2 controller mount system, we recommend setting the buttstock to be flush with the back of the frame. This maximizes headset clearance. And then, set the controller mount so that it doesn't hit the stock mount. And then use the push button adjustment on the buttstock to create the perfect length and fit. To set the cheek rest height, squeeze the button at the back of the buttstock frame, and then slide the cheek rest up or down. We recommend, while in-game, if you want to adjust the height of the cheek rest, to use your forward hand to come back, squeeze the button, and then use your shoulder to adjust the height. When using the controller mounts, make sure you have the left and right grips mounted in your preferred orientation. You can check which controller mount is which by the RH and LH labels at the base of the controller mounts. The controllers will slot into the mounts and will fit in slightly differently depending on your VR system. The controllers are held in place on the OneStock with your pinky and your ring finger and the base of your thumb. The OneStock is held up by lightly pressing it against your shoulder. You do not need to squeeze the controller mounts to hold up the OneStock, as the light pulling motion keeps it in place. You can tilt and pivot the controller mounts freely to adjust their positions. The tilt tension is controlled by the wing nut right below the controller, and the pivot tension is controlled by a screw at the base of the controller mount by using the provided hex wrench. We recommend having the tension set so the controllers will not move during normal gameplay, but can still be adjusted with a little extra force, allowing you to calibrate while in-game. The tension can also be increased to lock the controller mounts in place so they will not move. Great for esports or locking in your favorite setup. The sling is one of the most important parts of the OneStock. But why? The OneStock has been engineered to have multiple sling mount points that control how the stock rests when it's not in use. It is vital to set up the sling correctly so that it's comfortable, fast to adjust, and easy to retake the OneStock. The sling has two push-button connectors, a 1-point adapter, length adjustment, and a quick adjustment pull loop. There are many ways to set up the sling in either 1-point or 2-point configurations. 1-point sling setups are simple, fast, and gives you a lot of room by not impeding your hands, but can be a little less consistent in the rest position. 2-point sling setups give you more consistency over how it returns to rest after releasing the OneStock, and more stability while not in use. To create a 1-point sling, attach the sling mount from one side to the adapter above the wheeled VR logo by pressing in the button, inserting it, and then rotating it to lock it into position. You can attach it to either side, and this controls which side the length adjustment is on. The OneStock has 9 different sling mount points, allowing for an immense amount of options to suit your preferences and playstyles. There are 2 on the cheek rest, 1 at the base of the buttstock, 2 on the buttstock frame, 2 on the rear stock mount, 1 on the back of the frame, and 1 on the movable front mount. The mounting points on the back of the frame and on the buttstock frame allow the sling to freely rotate, while all other mounting points will lock, preventing rotation. Whether you like 1-point or 2-point configurations, the sling can be worn around the neck or under the arm. Here are some of our favorite sling setups. Let's start with using a 1-point sling. For bottom-mounting controller systems like this Quest 3 version, one good spot for a single-point sling setup is at the top of the cheek rest. The OneStock will rest at an angle and a little higher, allowing both hands to be able to pick it up. The second setup is connecting the sling to the buttstock frame near the cheek rest adjustment button. The OneStock hangs straight down and can be scooped up with your dominant hand. Another great spot is attaching to the rear stock mount. The OneStock will rest at an angle, and it keeps the dominant hand controller mount in a stable position. This setup also sits higher and works well if you like to have a looser sling. For top-mounted controller systems like this PSVR 2 version, we like to attach the sling to the rear stock mount. This will rest vertically, and the height can be adjusted by loosening or tightening the sling. For two-point sling setups, we recommend using any of the rear sling mounting points combined with the front sling mount. You can move the front sling mount along the frame to adjust the balance. Depending on if you're using a top-mounted or bottom-mounted variant, each sling combination will sit slightly differently. Experiment to see what fits your playstyle. And if you're feeling extra spicy, you can remove the rear stock entirely and connect the sling directly to the frame, creating an ultra-lightweight, compact system. Thank you for checking out this OneStock introduction video. For more information about our products, visit wieldvr.com. And be sure to join our Discord in the links down below, where our team is always available. Next time, we'll talk about how to adjust the OneStock in-game to get perfect calibration in seconds.